Hello and welcome on today's edition of Platform on your choice station NTA at Ekiti. I'm your host, Tayo Offshore. Drug abuse has become a menace affecting different sectors of the society, with stakeholders calling for concerted efforts to check the prevalence among both young and old. And in today's edition of Platform, we will be discussing drug abuse, its impact, and how to check it. And my guest is a clinical psychologist and addiction and mental health therapist, Dr. Adedotun Ajiboye. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
It's a pleasure, madam. Thank you very much.
Drug abuse has become a growing concern in our society. What are the commonly abused drugs and illicit substances in Nigeria today?
We have about 4 categories: stimulants, depressants, opiates, and other psychoactive substances. But all these I've mentioned, they are psychoactive substances. Stimulants, they are such as cigarettes, cocaine. Those are in the stimulant category, and all these are abused in the society. Then depressant, alcohol, benzodiazepam, and all that, they are also abused in our community. Then we have the opiates, and that one, because most of them are prescription drugs, but you are not supposed to use them until a medical doctor prescribes it to you. So the likes of tramadol, codeine, pentatoxin, and all the likes. Then we have the hallucinogen, that's marijuana, but marijuana at times cooperates as a stimulant. There are some people also, they will say they use it to sleep, so it has a kind of hydra-headed manifestation. Okay, so those are the categories of psychoactive substances. But at the same time, in recent time, we have a lot of synthetic marijuana, likes AZ, that's Arizona, Colorado, Mamba, and all the likes. There are categories of THC, that's marijuana, and there are other ones called Banku. Banku is in Yoruba, they call it, is it Bana or something? Bana, yeah, you know. So, and that one also is like a stimulant, it's a stimulant. So these are different categories of psychoactive substances. But all the psychoactive substances, they are addictive in nature. So any one of them, starting from cigarette, alcohol, you can get addicted to them.
Thank you very much. Let's talk a bit about alcohol.
Okay.
Some people believe that alcohol could be taken in moderation.
Okay.
Like if there's still some level, you can still take alcohol, that it doesn't become a way of abusing drug. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, that's been a question people have been asking all the time. But what the research is and the scientific understanding is that any psychoactive substance has addictive potential. So the meaning, there are 3 stages and progressive stages about drug use. There are drug use, drug abuse, drug addiction. Now, somebody that is in the drug use, you are occasionally using the drugs, but it will get to a level that the brain will master whatever, because any of the psychoactive substances will give you one thing or the other. Either you use it to gyrate, either you use it to be angry, either you use it to sleep. It will give you something that makes you to say, I need to go back to that thing. So at that stage, we call it drug use stage. But after some time, the brain will now master it, because there's a circuit. It will master it and say, okay, that thing you are taking, you have to go back again. Then it will move from use to abuse. Abuse is that you are normally using it, and you are now using it almost all the time. And from that place, it will go to the last stage, which is addiction. So initially, you may have, this thing is not affecting me, but because all of them, all the psychoactive substances I've explained, they have addictive potentials. So the moment you start using it, you may not start to be addicted, but it can take somebody to the journey of addiction. And addiction is a chronic relapsing brain disease, which is really affecting the whole world now.
Right. So which set of people are most vulnerable when it comes to drug abuse?
Yeah, everybody is vulnerable, every age is vulnerable, but the young people are more vulnerable for a reason, What the scientific findings says is that our brain is fully developed at age 21. Some literature will say age 22, but most of us will celebrate our 21st birthday. That's when you are fully formed. Okay, and if a child of 9 years, because what researchers are saying now, some students, some young people start using drugs at the age of 8, 9. In this country, we are saying 9, 11. So when you start using psychoactive substances, any of those I've mentioned, alcohol, cigarettes, codeine, roughnol, marijuana, and all the likes, then there's possibility to affect the unmatured brain. Something is not mature yet, but we're already affecting it negatively. So there's going to be a serious problem. And that's why you see that recovery for a child that starts using drugs in the later years is very, recovery is they may and they may not, because they have to manage it for life. So because the brain has been injured when it has not got into mature stage.
All right, talking about the young people using drugs, what do you think is responsible for the increase in the number of young people abusing drugs?
Yeah, I will look at, so that I will miss some points. There's a concept called biopsychosocial factors. That is, there are biological factors that could make an individual to using drugs. There are psychological factors, and there are social factors. Biological factors like genetics, hereditary. If you are fathered by someone who is using alcohol, there's possibility, based on research, that you may be using alcohol. But it's not a fast rule. It doesn't mean that if your father is using alcohol, you'll be using alcohol. You can make a decision not to use. So, but there's a genetic composition, there's a genetic connection. At the same time also, because of psychological factors like if you're always saying negative things to a child, maybe look at you are not brilliant, you are not this, you are not that. So that child will be having inferiority feelings, and in order to cope with the inferiority feelings, he will now want to use something to top up so that he can match up with his mate. And in the process, he may start with stimulants and say, okay, now I take this, I can talk to anybody, I can do anything. But you can discover that the genesis was because of the way he was parented. The parenting style affected that child. He was inferior when he gets to social setting, maybe a university or boarding house. And the last one is the social factors, their environment. When you have a brother that is smoking, there's possibility for you to smoke. When you have a father that is smoking, possibility. When you have colleagues that are smoking, possibility. Then social media is a big one. It's a big blow, because a lot of advertisement, a lot of sites that promotes usage of psychoactive substances. So these are three major factors: biological factors, psychological factors, and social factors.
All right, so what are the short-term and long-term effects of drug abuse on the physical and the mental health of whoever is using it?
I also look at it from that concept: biological, psychological, and social. Now, when you are using any of these psychoactive substance, it can affect you. It can affect your body. That's biological now, starting from your head to your toe. In fact, I was doing a research on alcohol particularly. I was looking at alcohol use disorder, and what I found when I was putting things together is that alcohol can affect you from your head to your toe. And what the literature was saying is that it starts from the brain, it can lead to memory loss, it can lead to stroke, and it can lead to addiction. That's only in the brain region. Then it can affect the pipe that is here. The pipe can, there can be perforation. Then when you go down, anywhere it passes through, there's possibility of cancer. Then it can lead to liver cirrhosis, which is, to me, I think it's even worse than HIV. Because when there's liver cirrhosis, everything that's supposed to be excreted are going into your body cells, and that causes a lot of problems. So there's a biological effect, either in the short or in the long run. Also, there are psychological effects, in the sense that somebody will now begin to have some mental health issues like psychosis, that's having hallucination and delusion. And at that particular time, the brain is not coping with what it should cope with. The person is not thinking right, the person is not feeling right, the person is not relating well or behaving well in the society. So psychological effect, then there could be social effect. You can send somebody out of job, because when you, for example, if you are working in a bank and you are in front of your customer and you just told the customer, please, I want to go to the toilet, because your body is requesting for alcohol or cigarette, and you did that first day, second day you did that again, and third day the customer may want to complain and say, why is this brother always leaving his duty post? And that can make somebody to lose his job. It can also make you to lose your family, because if somebody is under the influence of drug, you can be beating your wife, you can be or your spouse, and nobody wants to stay under beating for a long period of time. So it can lead to marital discord, it can lead to separation, then it can lead to a lot of discord among the family. Okay? And the society also may not want to have anything to do with you, because they see you as somebody that's a threat to the society.
All right, so let's now look at from the home front.
Okay.
So what can parents do to actually, number one, prevent their children, their wards from abusing drugs? And how can they also notice a child that is beginning to abuse drugs?
To curbing this problem, because those are times we push things to teachers, we push things to government, or push into religious centers. Yeah, they have their stakeholders, wonderful stakeholders, but the most important stakeholders to solving this problem is from home, and with home is the first area of socialization. So every parent should know what is drug abuse. Every parent should know some symptoms you begin to see in a child that's using drugs. Yes, you may not be a science-inclined parent, you may not even go to school, but you can have an idea, okay, if this child is smoking, these are possible things. For example, now when you see a child that's always putting on black shade, I'm not saying anybody putting on black shade is using drugs, but at odd times, inside the room, black sunshade is used in the sun. Or you are see somebody who has been playing with people in the living room, but now it's always in his room. Or you are seeing somebody that's always with a particular sweet, at all time, okay, or putting perfume and all that, or at all time, or it's not doing well again in school. These are some of the signs that parents should pay attention to. And when you see that, when you see something, you say something. When you see that, tell your spouse, I discovered that so-so is doing this, so-so is doing that. And the earlier you take that child to where it can be helped, the better. Any of the teaching hospitals all over Nigeria has a facility that can help at least to screen a child if that child is using drugs. That we call it toxicology. You ask the child to wee, and you test the urine, and you want to know if there are stimulants, if there are depressants, if there are opiates or hallucinogens in the urine.
Right. As we're talking about the parents and the schools,
Okay.
There's the very common saying that prevention is always better than cure. So how can parents, how can schools, how can religious bodies educate these young ones on the harmful effects of drug abuse, and so that at least from before a child gets into drug abuse, he knows the necessary information, he has the knowledge of how this can affect him or her, to prevent more of them getting into it?
Yeah, thanks for this question. I think the first thing is that all of us should see substance use disorder as a big problem in our hands. Because when you don't see something as a problem, you don't want to take action. The parents should see it, even though you don't have a child using drugs, see it as a problem around you. Because one of your uncle's child or your cousin's child may be using, and they can affect your child. So we should see it as a problem, not a problem of a family, not a problem of a town, but a problem globally. Because what we are discussing is a global problem. And if you see it as a problem, then when you see that problem is coming towards you, you prepare. But if we don't see it as a problem, we will take step. If the government didn't see it as a problem, we will take step. If the family didn't see it as a problem, there won't be any step. If the churches or the mosques didn't see it as a problem, there won't be any action. So we should see it as a problem. Number two, if you see it as a problem, then we take action. We take physical action, religious sector, spiritual action, but there should be physical and spiritual. In our churches or in the mosque, you can place logo. You can connect this logo for NDLA, they will give you free of charge. You can place it where people can see it at the entrance of the religious sector. So when they are listening to my sermon, they also say no to drug, yes to life. And you can put a scripture that can follow what you are saying. Okay, so then you can put, even in our homes, you can put inscription that will make a child to continuously, because faith comes by hearing and by seeing. So when you see it continuously, something registers into your brain and say, it's like my parents are saying I shouldn't near drugs. Okay? So schools also can have this thing posted as strategic places. I've seen some universities now, as we are entering their school, you see billboard that talks against drug abuse, cultism and all that. So I think we should take action on that. Then there should be a counseling unit. All these social vices, we should create a space, a very safe space with confidentiality, because when you get to the altar and begin to blow somebody that came to tell you something, then the other children will not come to you again. So even the parents, your child confide in you and say, Mommy, it's like there's somebody that introduced me to marijuana, for example, and I took it yesterday, and the first thing is that you are shouting, everybody in the community now knew, I won't know you, the boy has taken marijuana, and everybody now came and said, what did you, that child will not tell you anything again. So parents should know how to undo, because parenting Gen Z is not like the other one that we had, okay? Just your mother moving her leg, when I was growing up, I will understand what she's saying. But if you do that to Gen Z, they will not understand you. So our parenting style should be, we have to learn it so that these children will also catch them young. Yeah.
Well, law enforcement agencies, especially the NDLEA, are evolving means of fighting this menace. Do you think their strategies are yielding enough results, and how do you think agencies can actually improve on their fight against drug abuse?
Yeah, very good. NDLEA, they are trying their best, but they can't do it alone. Let me use a case study. NDLEA went to a particular community. They raided the place. They picked some people. Okay? But you know that they are not going to sleep in that place. They have families and they have office. They will leave that place. But if the community owns it and say, for example now, in our culture, we respect our traditional rulers, okay? Our traditional rulers, we respect them. So if a member of a town says, nobody should smoke here, go back to that place tomorrow, you won't see anybody. Because once again, the king has spoken. So the community should also play a role in this issue. We should not leave it alone to the NDLEA, because they cannot touch every place. They don't know what is happening in our houses. So parents are stakeholders, community leaders are stakeholders, religious leaders are stakeholders, organizations, systems, even workplaces. There should be workplaces ethics on matters like this, so that everybody will be cautioned, everybody will be monitored, and things will go on with us.
All right. For children who are amidst people who use drugs, especially in their formative years, how can the society help those children so that they don't actually imitate what they see?
Helping them to, are you saying helping them to stop?
Helping them not to get involved.
Okay.
Like a child whose father abuses drugs is an addict, and maybe the aunties, the neighbors, how can they be of help to that child?
Yeah, role model, modeling. If you are telling a child don't steal and you are stealing, that child will not listen to you. If you are telling a child don't smoke, but he saw you at the back of the toilet smoking, he won't listen to you. So we have to use leadership by example. We have to let them see that you are thriving, not on drugs. Let them see that you are thriving in sport, not on drugs. Your thriving is not as a result of using psychoactive substances, because when you thrive using, for example, in the Olympics now, if you go there using psychoactive substances, when they catch you, they disqualify you. So we can't thrive with any of the psychoactive substances. People that have been using it to thrive, they may thrive initially, but after some time they can't thrive again, because medicine will catch up. So we should lead by example, and after that, when we discover that there is something, if they have ways of correcting things that should be corrected, they should. And I think our schools now, I know in Ekiti State, I believe in the curriculum there are some topics on drug abuse, which is good, so that it will help somebody to know that this is a no-go area. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So can drug addiction be successfully treated, and what are the measures for treatment?
That's a big question that people ask. I've seen patients that recover fully. The majority may not recover fully, may not, that suggests it's not And why? It's because addiction, I said there are 3 stages: drug use, drug abuse, drug addiction. Now, addiction, according to WHO, is a chronic relapsing. So let's underscore the word relapsing. It's a chronic relapsing brain disorder. So as you are treating it, if there's no good social support, and that's why society should understand, if somebody uses drugs, the moment is coming out from the therapeutic center, the society should embrace that person. If in our facility, that's what we call post-discharge plan. Before we discharge you to your parents, we ask you, what are you doing in the next 1 week, in the next 2 weeks, in the next 3 weeks, because within those weeks, you can go back to drugs. So it's an addictive thing, and it's a relapsing disorder. So that's why sometimes the recovery may not be total for those people that don't have good social support. And social support is not money support. Because I've seen a lot of parents saying, I give him whatever he needs, I buy whatever he needs. That's not social support. Social support it involves emotional, physical support, your presence and all that should be involved in the social support. Yeah, people can get recovered if they come early. And even if they come late, the only thing is that they're going to stay longer in therapy. There are therapists, religious therapy center in this country that you have to spend 1 year. 6 months for therapeutic stuff, then 6 months for vocational training. Okay, so, and in other centers too. Yeah. Right. But there's hope.
For anyone.
For treatment.
For treatment.
Yeah.
All right. So how can the society, like you said, the social support is important.
Okay.
So what are the social supports that is needed when to reduce the stigma, to reduce the number of people abusing drugs, and also to get those that are already addicted treated?
Yeah, love. Love covers multitudes of sin. Yeah, that child has sinned by taking drugs, but love will make you to embrace that child back. But if you are now using anger to do it, you can't use problem to solve problem. There's problem, addiction, and you are using anger to solve addiction. That will be double tragedy. So even though the child has been addicted or is using drugs, let's love the child. Love is compassionate. Love is sustainable. Love is kind, is gentle. So with that, you'll be able to take that child to a facility where that child can be helped. And you will not just dump the child there, because in therapy centers, you see caregiver dropping for the therapist. Okay, bow, so that I will come back in the next 1 year to come and know. the moment that child comes out, I'm telling you, in the next 2 weeks, he has gone back to drugs. Because he doesn't see love. He doesn't see somebody that's compassionate. He doesn't see somebody that's emotionally attached. So we should try as much as possible to show empathy, not sympathy. And at the same time, we should not stigmatize, as you said. We shouldn't stigmatize. There's something we call I express emotion in mental health. I express emotion is like, because this child had this problem called addiction, and when he gets back home, you are now showing hostility. You are giving critical comment. Look at you. Your mates are already in university. So that child will now say, wow, it can lead to depression. Yeah, he's just recovering from addiction. Another problem has entered. That's, we are now, there's comorbidity. You are managing addiction, and the child is depressed. And that child can even commit suicide because of your comment. Well, look at your mate, things like that. The another one is overindulgence. When that child now come back from the therapeutic center, you know, please go and sleep. I want to watch. Don't watch clothes. The child will not be saying, am I so redundant like this now that my parents doesn't? Let's go to farm. No, don't follow us. Let's go to church. Don't worry. Watch church online because stigma. So that child may keep getting worse. So we should show empathy. We should show love to solving these problems.
Thank you very much. This is how far we will be able to go on today's edition of Platform. I want to appreciate my guest, a clinical psychologist and addiction and mental health therapist, Dr. Adedotun Ajiboye. Many thanks for being on the program.
Always a pleasure.
And viewers, many thanks for watching. Join us next week for another edition of Platform. Until then, stay safe and have a blessed week. Bye for now.
See